Hi everybody, and welcome to this webinar series as part of the Psych Up series. This is a really interesting topic, and we've called it Prioritising Self. But as a subtitle, what I wanted to add in there is literally, as you can see there on your screen, is there a me in team? And of course, there is a me in team, there's a very important me in team. We'll come to that a little bit later. But I think one of the most interesting things about what we're going to talk about in this topic is, when does prioritising self in fact become detrimental? When does it lead to us perhaps derailing ourselves? And derailing ourselves are either in our work life, or in our personal life. And by that, I basically mean that we may have things that we want to achieve, really meaningful goals that are very important to us in life that we want to achieve for ourselves and hopefully for others around us, but they don't seem to be happening. And if we don't get this blend between me and team right, and by team, I'll use that throughout the webinar to mean either a team at work, an elite sporting team that we work with, for example, any team in any organisation, or in fact, the family team at home, or a team of friends, people that get together to do something meaningful together. And so what I'm going to cover off on really is not about just what we ought to be doing ourselves, but what we ought to be doing ourselves for ourselves and for others. Because often, as we would always all be very aware, that if we work for the benefit of the team and we achieve the team goals, especially if we have been involved in setting them, which hopefully we have, because that's an empowering scenario that managers and leaders can use in the workplace or in a sporting team context. And if we have been involved in those goals and we achieve the team goals, then our own goals will be achieved as well. So what I'm going to be covering off on during the webinar are these things. I'll just let you have a quick look at that. Now, some of these I'm not actually going to cover off of. Some of these were covered off in podcasts during the month. Now, Epictetus, the wise old Greek philosopher, scribed on a stone tablet they dug out of a desert somewhere, and they aged this thing back to about 34 AD, this stone tablet and the carvings. And Epictetus, as most of us, or some of us would know anyway, was a slave. He came from Persia, well, not from Persia, sorry, I just lost it then. Turkey. He came from Turkey and went to Greece as a slave, actually, and then ended up being one of the world's most sought-after philosophers, a man who could dig deep, a man who could critically analyse situations and thought deeply about things and found solutions to all sorts of things and helped people find solutions to things. Epictetus scribed on that stone tablet, life is not about happenings, but what we tell ourselves about those happenings. So they knew, and he knew way back then, and personkind for centuries and centuries and centuries, thousands of years, have known that it's not so much the situation we're in, but it's what we tell ourselves about those situations. And underpinning that are our attitudes and our beliefs. What are our attitudes and our beliefs that we formulate as we experience life, go through, and we gather ways of thinking about the world? What do those beliefs and attitudes tell us about the way the world ought to be and about how things ought to be if they're going to be okay for us? Now, we can develop an attitude and a belief system that says, I need to prioritise myself, I need to look after myself, I need to manage myself well. At times I need to say no, as we all know, throwaway phrases that I need to manage manage myself well, I need to say no to certain things so that I don't overload myself. I need to have a good work-life balance, or these days what we call good work-life integration in place, so that we are involved in meaningful pursuits in our workplace, and we're involved in meaningful pursuits in our personal space. And hopefully some of the responsibility we may feel at work we can leave behind when we go home and relax and unwind. And some of the responsibilities that we may actually have in our personal life, well, we swap those for other responsibilities that we may have in our working life. So all of those things are really quite important in prioritising ourselves. But we also need to understand that life is a system. And I think that's the easiest way to think about overall the context of what I want to be talking about today. And that is that no person is an island, but an important part of the continent. And by what I mean with that is that everything in life is a system. Our body is a system, our heart is a system unto itself, and within that body, the heart is a system, the liver is a system, the heart is a system, our blood vessels form a system, our gut is a system. There are mechanical systems that bottle things for us, that make things for us, that put things together, mechanical systems. States within Australia are systems. They have their own state government systems, processes, structures, strategies that make up a system. And it's when the cogs in that system work well together, the cogs in a mechanical system, for example, keep turning well together, that you have an empty bottle start somewhere, and by the time it gets to the other end, it's labelled, it's full of some lovely product, and it's got a sealed cap on top. And if all the cogs in the system are oiled well and keep working well together, then that bottle will get from the start to the finish in very good nick and serves a great purpose for us. But if one of those cogs in the system, if one of the levers, if one of the screws comes loose, if one of the pulley belts breaks down, then the whole system can grind to a halt or run amok. And then what we would like to see as a finished product, what we would like to see is the outcome is not going to be there. And it's the same with human systems. We are part of a system. We're part of teams. We're part of organisations. We're part of families. And they are all systems. They're made up of different people, different cogs. And if those cogs, if those individuals work well together, and we work well in a team, we work well in a family as a cog in a system, and we turn well for the benefit of all, for the benefit of the system, then all is well. But if I put too much emphasis on myself and my goals and not what the system's goals are, if I worry too much just about what I've got to do and I don't help the rest of the system look after itself, I don't point out perhaps when part of the other system needs some assistance or some oil put into it, but I focus just too much on myself, then I can allow the rest of the system to decay. And that then will have a real impact on my ability to be successful, on my ability to produce what it is that I might want to produce in my life, whether that's in a family system or in the workplace. At work, it might be that I want to build a career. I want to move through being an individual contributor to being a team leader, a supervisor, a manager, and then a higher level manager, and eventually perhaps maybe even in a real leadership position in the family. I might want to have good relationships, and hopefully we do, with those around me. I might want to be a really good mother. I might want to be a really effective father. I might want to be a very good friend. I might want to enhance the lives of others by what I'm doing. But in order to do that, it's not just about me. It's not just about what I want. It is about what the other people's needs are. And that, I think, in terms of prioritising self, means that we also need to make sure that we stay connected to other areas of the system that we work and live within that are really very important to us as well. So what we do ourselves is obviously quite important, but the manner in which we interact with those other parts of the team, those other members of the team rather, those other people at home is critically important. So when I go through this presentation, what I want to do is I want to talk about ourselves, how we get the best out of ourselves and what we can do in that regard, and how to help others get the best out of them, and how to help us be a contributor to others so that we're involved in is a truly meaningful pursuit, not just for what we need, but it makes something of value and gives something of value to others. Now, obviously, as we journey towards elite performance, what we need to do is to be aware of what we call the 3 A's of personal transformation, the 3 A's of being the best that we can be. It's a little formula that we have, and basically it states that what we need is awareness of what strengths, what's working for us, what's not working for us. We need acceptance for what those strengths and work areas are, and then we might need to take action. And we need to take action about maintaining strengths in what we're doing to make sure that we are as successful as we can be and as successful as we can help others to be. But if we don't have awareness about what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, then we could sabotage that. If we don't accept that there are things that we need to be more flexible about, things we need to improve in, things that we need to do better, perhaps for ourselves in terms of our behaviour, our thinking and our emotional regulation, and then sort of prepare ourselves the best that we can be in the interaction with others, so that they get a great deal of benefit from what it is that we have to offer with our skill level, with our support mechanisms, and with our mentoring and coaching that we might want to be doing with others as well. So personal reflection is really very important, using what we call reflective practice, and that is gaining awareness of what's happening, acceptance around the awareness, and then some action planning. So we're not going to have time to dig into all of these deeply, but at Veritas, these are the things we help people work on. We help people gain awareness. We help people accept what they're seeing and understand what it is they're seeing, and then how to take appropriate action, in fact, to move on and do things better, or do things consistently, to do things in a manner that hopefully builds a high sense of sustainable achievement, performance, and outcome in what it is that we're doing, including well-being, well-being for ourselves and helping others stay in a good state of personal well-being. We'll just chat about what that is towards the end of the seminar. So I'm just going to get rid of my hide myself now, and we will focus and concentrate on the content of some of these slides that are about to come. So what I wanted to do now is to show you a little video. This is a great little video, and it shows, we call ourselves the Homo sapien, the thinking being. I think we thought that we were going to, because we could think, we were going to be able to resolve issues and do things a lot better than instinctual animals and birds, etc. would do. But I want to show you this to show that there's a lot that we can learn from the way that instinctual beings go about themselves, and that is they develop habits that in the majority are really very constructive habits. And geese are birds that have developed some incredible habits that mean incredible benefits for themselves individually, but for all the rest of the geese that they're involved in. Now, this is based on Canadian geese, and they fly thousands and thousands of kilometres, migrate thousands of kilometres each year. So I'm going to show you this video because there are some lessons we can learn from geese. And hence, let's have a think about, are we a goose or not? Being a goose may not be a bad thing. So I hope you enjoyed that. When I first saw it, I was quite surprised at the impact that it actually had on me. It's a nice compilation of some real benefits that geese get out of being the best that they can be, obviously, prioritising themselves. They look after themselves. Hopefully they eat, they keep fit, they breed and whatever, and they do all of that. But they also then contribute greatly to the flock overall and work together to get the best that they can get for the flock and for the individuals within that flock. So when we look at prioritising ourselves, I think we also need to look at how can I prioritise myself in order to be the best that I can be for my team and be the best that I can be for my family and get the best for my team and my family. So working together on a journey to elite performance, obviously self-awareness, as you saw in that slide before, awareness, acceptance. We've got to accept what we know, what we're seeing ourselves doing, and then obviously moving on to action. We need a good level of social sensitivity, obviously, the empathy and consciousness of others and our relationship with them, what others' needs are, that we're all different, that no one of us is the same, but we've all got unique skills and unique gifts that we can leverage from. If we're in a leadership or you're in a managerial position, it's also very important in terms of how you go about yourself and, are you there in terms of just getting the task done, or are you there to support and help individuals grow and develop and be the best that they can be within that team context? Or are you the sort of person that likes to stand out a bit more, be oppositional with others and be quite aggressive in the manner that you might go about yourself? It's important to reflect upon our leadership style when we're in those sort of positions. The purpose and direction for ourselves, it does it a lot line with the purpose and direction of our team, the purpose and direction of ourselves? Are we in tune with the purpose and direction of others in our family unit, for example, as well? And do we talk about, are they in synergy? And if they're not in synergy, what do we do about it? How do we bring them in synergy? How do we do things together that are important for all of us and yet support each other in our own personal pursuits as well, so that we're prioritising ourselves, absolutely, but helping other people prioritise them by having the system work as well as it possibly can, so that we all get as much as we possibly can out of it. And the cohesion and constructive norms and behaviours that dictate what an environment, what are the ways that we do things around here? What's the, if you like, the personality of our family? How would people describe us as a family? What's the personality of our team culture, if you like? How do we do things around here? What are the behavioural expectations that we have on each other, that we have on ourselves, in the way that we get tasks done and the way we interact with others to get those tasks done? In other words, how we work together. And basically what we've got to be able to do is we've got to be able to blend the prioritisation of what it is I want to do and what I find meaningful, and keep ourselves vital and strong enough to be able to do that, and then help others do the same. And in doing that, help the team be the very best that it can be, help the family be the very best that it can be. Now, what we also need to contribute to is, and this is what builds high-performing teams, and it can build also high-performing families, but in particular we'll talk now about high-performing teams. High-performing teams have got to be able to trust one another. We need vulnerability-based trust, and we need to be able to put our hand up and say, hey, I'm struggling a bit at the moment. I'm not doing too well. I need a bit of a hand. Like when one of those geese gets sick, one of those Canadian geese gets sick, to go down with it to look after it. And hopefully people will jump on board and say, wow, what do you need? What's happening to you? Be with us, and then do with us. Well, what do you think you can do about this? And what can we sort out here and help you do about what's happening? So we need to be vulnerable ourselves. We need to be open and transparent where we're at, and we need to allow others to be that way around us. So we need to be able to accept what people are telling us. We need to be able to accept and give trust before trust is earned. It's a very important aspect. If we get involved with someone, then we need to trust them until eventually, hopefully, they're shown us that, yeah, there's a lot of trust there. Or if they mess up, that they apologise and we work together to get some solutions to that. Or they show us that we just totally can't trust them in an area of life that is very important to us, and we might have to ask them to leave us, or we might need to leave them along the way. But it's interesting to view ourselves in terms of being the best that we can be. Are we really open and transparent, authentic within ourselves? We can be quite vulnerable. We don't always have to be right. We don't always have to lead. We don't always have to dictate to others the way things would be done and have it our way. But we can work as a team member. We can let other people make decisions at times and go with them on that. Can we also engage in conflict around ideas? And by conflict, I don't mean aggressive conflict, I mean assertive conflict. And that is basically arguing the facts about ideas. And once again, we need to show that we can do it. Being the best that we can be is being able to argue the facts around situations, not make decisions out of lack of facts, not always wanting things our way, but to be flexible and adaptable when we argue those facts, to make sure that we have a say about what we think, about what our experience is, but then also allow others to have a say about what their experience is, and then be flexible and adaptable in what we might do there. Committing to decisions within a team context. Do we commit, once decisions are made within the team, and especially if they might be somewhat different to what we personally would like to do, but do we commit to those decisions and then work with others and work in a manner that gets the best out of ourselves to commit to the decisions that are best for the team, for our family overall? And that's a very important situation as well, because if we are prioritising ourselves to the point of being selfish, to the point that it needs to be about me, to the point of where we're almost showing a few narcissistic personality traits, it's all about me, look at me, look at me, then it's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to commit to a decision that might not be, we might not think make us stand out or is not necessarily what we would do, but we've agreed to the team plan and the team has agreed to a plan because we really believe that overall that plan will be the best it possibly can be. Are we able to hold others accountable? Do we hold ourselves accountable, or do we make excuses when things don't go right, when things don't go the way we want them to do? And do we prioritise then in ourselves actually trying to avoid and trying to protect ourselves rather than seeking the truth and seeking maybe a better way of doing something because we may have messed up? Can we hold ourselves accountable, and can we also be assertive and hold others accountable? Well, Fred, when you did that, I don't think that it was particularly the best thing for the team because of this and this. Are we able to do that within the team and context? And then focusing in on achieving collective results. What are the results that as a team, as a family, we want to achieve together? And there might not always be something in it for us, hopefully along the way. And within those collective results, if we are involved in a meaningful pursuit with people we respect, etc., there will be something within us. And if there's not, then maybe we need to change the circumstances of where we are, the environment in which we are in. But it is then a matter of being able to really focus on achieving and setting smart goals, and achieving those goals for the greater good, if you like, which hopefully includes us. But that means that while we're prioritising ourselves and achieving to the best of our ability, we need to make sure that we also understand that we need to support and help others grow and develop and be the best that they can be. So hopefully the sum of the parts equals more than just the individual sum. The greater sum is far better outcome than the perhaps just the individual sums. And that's really where we need to often just in what we do the basics really well, play our role, whether what it might be in the family or in our work team, and then also make sure that we support the people that are coming on the journey with us, that are on the bus of which we're on, heading towards where it is we want to head to as a team or as a family. Now, team culture is also very important, and you can measure the styles of culture that are around. And this is really quite important, again, when we look at prioritising ourselves, because when we prioritise ourselves, if we're going to be as successful as we can, research shows us that both in our personal life, and this goes back 40 odd years, some of this research, and it's still being lived out today, and what we see in outcomes today in terms of the culture that builds up within families and the culture, if you like, that builds up within teams, is that we need to put time and energy into getting the tasks done that are important to us well, but also, as I've been saying, supporting others. And I can't labour that point too much. It is about getting the tasks that we need to get done well, and doing that to the very best of our ability, but supporting others in getting their tasks done well, that are contributing to that greater collective outcome, and getting those helping them get those tasks done really well is also important. And we have a lot of tools around that we utilise at Veritas, both at an individual level, a team level, and a whole of organisational level, to help people understand where they're at. Certainly in a team and organisational context, there's some very good, solid, psychometrically sound, valid and reliable measures of organisational and team culture that you can implement that gives you a really good baseline. Then you can do your sort of test, action, retest model. So you then organise some goals around what you're seeing in the profiles, and then you go out and you implement those goals, and then you come back in and reflect upon how we're going and where we're at, and you can do those measurements again. Now, when we prioritise ourselves, when we realise that there is a me in team, that I've got to be the best that I can be, that I've got to do for myself the best that I can do, but that I've also got to be able to do the best for the team. I've got to be part of that team. I've got to be part of that family in terms of my contribution. When people do that well, and they spend most of their time and energy in constructive styles of behaviour and attitudes and thinking, as opposed to aggressive or passive styles, then these sort of things pop out of the research. Synergy, people working well together, plus 62% above those who are more in it for themselves or who really can't even support themselves, and so really find it very difficult to support others to be the best that they can be. Group commitment is 48% higher, 97% higher in terms of groups and teams being able to come to a consensus on what they need to do, where they need to go and how they need to go there. Time effectiveness from the individuals in that team and as a team is much higher. Time wasted is much lower. There's much less time wasted. That should actually be a minus, not a plus, sorry. And the solution quality is 60% higher normally for the solutions that we're looking at in the processes or things that we might be there to achieve and to accomplish. So when we optimise ourselves and we help others optimise themselves within those team and family units, great things happen. It's not just high-fiving each other at the end of the day, or giving each other a group hug or a warm and fuzzy feeling that we get. There are actually a whole range of benefits at the individual team and whole of organisation, whole of family level that pop out. How we resolve conflict, once again, and this is optimising ourselves and being the best that we can be, is that really if we want to get good decisions, make good decisions, be a great problem solver, and be, once again, within a system seen as a very pragmatist, self-empowered, conciliatory and relationship builder, then we need to be up there in what we call those constructive styles, again, those blues styles. The aggressive styles over trying to be a perfectionist, a competitor, dominator or an escalator of problems and of concerns, etc. When we get into doing those sorts of things, we could say that, yes, we're showing self-interest from that perspective, but it becomes too much about us. And it really isn't optimising the self, it's just spending too much time trying to gain status often for ourselves, and that will draw away from optimising ourselves if we spend too much time in those styles trying to dominate and be better than others and escalate, especially mistakes that others might be making. If we're over in our green area, that passive area, we become an accommodator, anything goes. We just suck up to the boss, we just give in to everybody. We become too much of a regulator, an insulator or an avoider of situations and resolving conflict. Then once again, it's very, very, very difficult to be successful in what we do. We might run reasonable relationships over in that green area with others because we're pretty passive. We certainly don't rock the boat too much, but nothing much gets done, to be perfectly honest. So optimising ourselves means that we need to be up there in that blue area of being very pragmatic in the way that we go about finding solutions, realistic in the way that we go about it, self-empowered, but a conciliator, looking after others and helping them grow and develop, and also helping the team work well together through being a relationship builder. And that often means considering the needs of others at times when we really might want to consider our own needs, but it's in the best interest of others to consider their needs, and putting time and energy into that. So what happens is when we are optimising ourselves, this is what happens when we are generally successful at achieving things at a very high level. These are the sorts of things that we do that mean that we are optimising our ability, ourself, to get things done well. I'll just give you a few minutes to have a look at that. When we are also in a state of optimisation for ourselves, being the best that we can be, these sorts of things happen. These are parts of our behavioural and our thinking patterns and styles that will come out in the way that we go about ourselves. They're not just good intentions. We don't intend to do this. Other people will actually see us doing this and experience us doing this. Another style that we go about ourselves when we're optimizing is the humanistic and encouraging one. This is a very important one because we are showing now really a great interest in the growth and development of others. As you can see there, we're showing interest in others' growth and development. We're giving praise. We're acting as a constructive mentor and a constructive others coach for others to be the best that they can be. An affiliative style. Now, as you can see, when you read through those lists, these are important characteristics for us to be the best that we can be, for this to be, if we're going to optimise the outcomes for ourselves and prioritise ourselves in being the best that we can be. Not selfish, but to be the best that we can be so that we can contribute in the best manner we can to other things, game plans, family strategies, family processes that we need to have in place to be a. These things apply right across the board, and they're very, very important for us to reflect upon and to consider how we're doing. And in these areas now, are we prioritising these things, or have we developed habits that mean some of these very constructive behaviours and thinking styles might not be there? We may have lost them because we're under stress, because things haven't been going the way we want them to in life or whatever. It is easy to self-sabotage or to let others sabotage us on our journey to some of these things. Now, what I'm going to talk about now very quickly, of course, is that when we prioritise ourselves, we need to prioritise developing our emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is not just about IQ, which is being really bright, which is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. But if you like, and this is just an analogous way of putting it, but that wisdom, and I think that wisdom is really a major part of emotional intelligence, is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. Now, obviously you can if you want to, but it generally isn't probably the best thing to do. It's great in a salad, even though it is a fruit. And so often knowledge is not enough. We need to use wisdom. Wisdom comes out of an attitude of wanting to be the best that we can be, of prioritising ourselves and the things that we need to do to be really good at what we do, and to keep ourselves in a sense of well-being, but help others and contribute to others doing the same there. So emotional intelligence covers off on one of the best measures we've got is a thing called the EQI-2, developed by Ruben Baron very many years ago. And there's 15 areas that we can measure. We can measure them as just a normal person. We can measure them as a leadership. If we're in leadership, we can measure them in terms of our potential to be really effective in our leadership. But what they do is they set a firm foundation to make sure that we are doing the right things, that we are prioritising the growth, our own growth and development in the right areas, such as our self-regard, keeping our self-regard, our self-esteem, our self-efficacy, belief in ourselves to be able to do things high, self-actualising, emotional self-awareness, emotional expression, being able to express ourselves well, no matter whether we're angry or happy, being assertive, showing a good level of independence, building good interpersonal relationships, having empathy with others and showing a good degree of social responsibility, because that takes us from the me to the we, incorporates both together. Having a good level of problem solving, reality testing and impulse control are also very important, especially in terms of being under that heading there of how we go about making good decisions. We can't make good life decisions, good decisions within a team context, towards strategic outcomes if our problem solving, reality testing and impulse control is not at a high level. Being flexible and adaptable, having a good level of stress tolerance and resilience, and being optimistic. Not optimistic in a flippant way of I can jump tall buildings at single bound, but optimistic that if things go well, good on me. That's beautiful, I'm getting better at this, and if they don't go so well, okay, it's painful, but what can I learn from it? What can I do better next time is also really quite important. Now, some mental skills in terms of the things that we need to prioritise for ourselves are these sort of things. We need to make sure that we are instituting attitudinal efficiency. And this is what successful people do that have a good high level of attitudinal efficiency. I'll have to let you have a read of these 6 points. And all of those points are obviously important. The third point down is critically important, that we compete against ourselves to be the best that we can be, so that when we go out to compete against others, it's not just about I have to win and you have to lose. It's about giving it our very best shot. And if we win, great, we can celebrate, and that's fantastic. If we don't win, it's painful for a while. Yep, absolutely. But what can we learn from it? What can we do better next time? Did we win well? Did we win poorly? Did we lose well? Did we lose poorly? There's a whole range of ways that we can weigh it up in terms of being better at what we do next time than we were perhaps today. But attitudinal efficiency, because it underpins how we will behave and how we will regulate our emotions, is just so critically important to us. Maintaining motivation is important. We need to make sure we're doing these things. Goals and commitments. These are the sort of things we need to prioritise. In terms of people skills, interpersonal skills, these are the things that are really quite important. Our self-talk. And this is part of our attitudinal efficiency, but this is the stuff that we're saying to ourselves in our head that's always there, that we are mulling around. It's important that we do these things when we're prioritising what sort of self-talk we're going to allow ourselves to get into. Dealing with stress and anxiety. And dealing with emotions. And concentration. This is critically important because otherwise we get distracted. We can set up some goals. We can prioritise goals, if you like, but if we get distracted for too long from them, it might take us nowhere. Take a leaf out of the book of Michael Jordan, great basketballer. Concentration was just amazing. His commitment to practice, his commitment to being the best that he could, was not just an intention to prioritise something, he actually did it. And just achieved greatly. He wasn't always great, he built it. This is just a little saying. I think that's the whole thing with anxiety. It will rain at times, and sometimes it'll rain emotions for us, and things won't always go the way we are. But as it says there, learn to dance in it, play in it, be the best that we can be during it is really quite important. Develop a growth mindset. is really ultra important as well. What kind of mindset do we have? Do we have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? A growth mindset leads to us implementing sustainable, prioritised behaviours and not getting sidetracked or not getting demotivated. When we have a fixed mindset, I'm only good because I'm really bright, and if someone else succeeds, I feel threatened. My abilities determine everything. When I fail, I'm no good, I'm hopeless, as opposed to when I fail, I learn. Tell me I try hard. I'm going to put in the effort. It's about effort, not just the outcome. If you succeed, I'm inspired. What did you do well? And I'm going to copy you. I'm going to learn from you. So one of the things about prioritising and prioritising ourselves and doing the things that we need to do to be great individually, to be the best that we are capable of becoming, as successful as we became capable of becoming individually, and for those important other teams, family around us, we need to make sure that we respond to things in life, not react. Every now and then we will react, but 80%, 85% of the time, we need to be responding, not reacting. And just at times, once again, using reflective practice to think about, be mindful and think about, if something went wrong, did I react? How could have I responded in terms of thinking and behaving more thoughtfully in more of a controlled manner than a knee-jerk reaction and being overly impulsive? And that can lead to anger management problems, all sorts of things there. So check yourself, check your interaction, check your situation, and then be the very best that you can be and implement flexible, adaptable, rational, positive and solution-orientated thinking and behaviours to get the best outcome that you can be. Try and be flexible, adaptable, rational, positive and solution focused with the way you think and the way you behave to get also to get good emotional regulation, but to get the best outcomes that you possibly can for yourself. Okay, self-care and well-being. At the end of the day also, none of this is much good unless we really look after ourselves. And some of the things that are obviously very important in being the best that we can be and having vitality in what we do and making sure that we are in the best situation to be the best that we can do is making sure we have a good lifestyle balance. We problem solve well. Levels of communication when we communicate with others are there to build and enhance them and try and get a win-win situation and find solutions. Keep drug and alcohol, obviously consumption to within healthy levels. Humanistic, affiliative style, be nice with people. That's simply what that means. Exercise regularly 4 to 5 times a week. Get your heart rate up in your training zone, brisk walking, swimming, cycling, whatever it might be. Don't let that drop off because it's very important. Diet, obviously, there are a lot of ways that we can now make sure that we have a healthy eating habits as opposed to really dieting, but our diet needs to be a healthy eating pattern and maintain assertiveness. Try not to be aggressive and try not to be too passive, because if we are too passive, then often that leads to being passive aggressive and we can bubble over at the other end. So it is important for us to manage ourselves so that we can be in really good nick to manage others. So that was all I really wanted to go over in this webinar. I think it's really important to reflect upon this at times, because what we're doing is reflecting upon our role in important systems in our life, in the teams at work, in our families, in our organisations, in our friendship groups, and in our community groups, and what we're doing there. It is incredibly important to think about how we're prioritising the things that we do, prioritising ourselves, but also how we are prioritising being a really effective cog in the system. Thank you, all the very best, and we look forward to next month. Take care and remain psyched up. Bye for now.